Hi everyone, as promised, this is a video just wanting to take a minute and talk about the review for the test. Real quick, I just want to mention that I did add a link when you go to register for your exam. Hopefully you've already done that, but if you haven't, you want to get in and do it soon. In Canvas, there is a link. Maybe I'll go ahead and go there real quick. You'll see the testing center at Maine, and then there's a testing center at North. I just added the North link. I had one student that said the North campus was closer to them, and they asked if they could test there. So she will be the only, if you click on the testing center at North, it's probably not going to let you do anything in there unless you happen to be the student that let me know they wanted to test at North. Everyone else, I'm assuming, is testing at Maine, but I just want to make you aware that if in the future you would rather test at the North campus, you can. You just need to let me know so that I leave a test for you there. They won't have, it's a paper pencil test, they won't have enough tests. I need to know who's going there, and then I'll put your name on that list, and then the testing center at North button will work for you in the future. So I just wanted to mention that. Now, our Chapter 1 test review is in the module at the end of Chapter 1. I would strongly recommend you do this. Not once, but twice. Work through these examples as you would the test. That is the best way to practice and see what you know and what you don't know. If the first time you do that is on test day, then don't be surprised when you're like, I didn't realize I didn't know all of this stuff, right? You can't sit there with your notes. You want to work through these as if it were the test, figure out what you don't know, then do it again. You'll see that the first 30 questions, those are examples of what would be on the calculator part of the exam. The majority of the test, you may use a calculator on. But the first part 1, is the non-calculator part. It is 1 page, would take you less than 30 minutes to do if you know what you're doing. And it just has you, for the most part, this is what we're focusing on. Those special angles. Can you identify the sine, the cosine, the tangent, or any of the reciprocal functions if they're related to the special angles being 30, 45, 60, and 90, as well as 0. Those 5 are the special angles. Those will make up quadrant 1 when we get into Chapter 2. And you are expected to either memorize all of the sine, cosine, and tangent, and then figure out their reciprocals for those 5 angles, or have a method of coming up with them. These are the things we want you to know without having to use your calculator. So I just want to remind you and sort of maybe point to ways that you can do this more easily. In section 1.4, there was a lesson on the special right triangles and the relationship between the sides when you have a 30, a 60-90 triangle. And hopefully you walked away from that lesson going, oh yeah, the smallest side is 1, the hypotenuse is twice that, and then the side across from 60 is 1 radical 3. That's the relationship of the sides. And then if I wanted to answer any of these 30 or 60 degree questions, the sine would be the opposite over the hypotenuse. For 30, that would be 1/2. And then the cosine would be adjacent over hypotenuse, or square root of 3/2. And then you'll see that when you switch to the 60-degree angle, the opposite and adjacent sides just switch if I'm up here, right? This was the whole lesson. I don't want to redo the lesson, but you learn how to fill out these angles from these triangles that we have here. So, then we did the same with the 45, 45, 90. And if you need to go back and look at that lesson, I don't want to reteach that right now, you get these relationships of those triangles. And one of the first questions that you're going to be asked to do on the non-calculator part is identify, the triangles are drawn for you, show me the relationships of the sides. And whether you use ones and square root of 2's, or x and x root 2, right, x, 2x and x root 3. I don't care if you use variables or if you use 1 as your original side that you're working off of, but you will be asked to show the relationship of the sides. And then you're going to be asked to fill out this chart for all of the major angles that you have here. Now, the nice thing about that is then you can use this chart, assuming you do it right, to answer all of these questions. So let me be clear. You can totally, if you're like, I don't like to memorize things, you can totally build this. It's going to take you some time to do it. I want to show you real quick the relationship between all of, like, if for sure should create this and use the triangles and see how it works. But I want to show you a fast way to come up with all 5 of these special angles for each sine, cosine, and tangent, and then be able to use it. This is something that I use not only throughout pre-calculus, but also in my calculus classes to show students how to come up with these answers without a calculator pretty quickly. So here's how it works. It will take you some time to practice. You're going to watch me do this and feel like, what? I don't know what she's doing. Watch it again and then do it on your own. You should be able to build this chart in less than 60 seconds once you catch the pattern that's built here. So here's how it works. I start with 0 and I just count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. All of them are square rooted. All of them are divided by 2. That is a relationship you're going to see throughout whenever you're talking about 30, 45, 60, 90 angles. All are square rooted, all are divided by 2. Now notice in this first one, the square root of 0 divided by 2, that is just 0. I'm going to replace that with 0. So the square root of 1 is just 1, so I don't need that anymore. Square root of 2 over 2 and the square root of 3 over 2 I really can't reduce. But the square root of 4 is 2. And 2 over 2 does equal 1. So that is the sine of 90 degrees is 1. But that's how you're going to build it. I'm going to do it again. Right? You're just going to count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. They all have square roots. They're all divisible by 2. That's going to put a 2 in the denominator, but I don't need the square root. Square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 2 over 2. Square root of 3 over 2. Square root of 4 over 2 does reduce to 1. Once you have that first line and understand that pattern, all you have to do for cosine is write it backwards. I'm going to start with 1 and then have square root of 3 over 2, square root of 2 over 2, 1/2, and 0. So it makes it really fast to come up with them if you just remember that pattern. Count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, put square roots, divide by 2, and then simplify anything that can be simplified. You do it enough, you can do that really fast without having to worry about the reducing. Now the nice thing is tangent is, remember, sine over cosine. That was one of our identities. Well, I already have this written as sine over cosine, right? This is sine over cosine. 0 over 1 is just 0. If I look at, for 30 degrees, 1 over square root of 3, the 2's are both the same, that's common denominator. It's going to give me 1 over radical 3. Square root of 2 over the square root of 2, that's something over itself, that's just 1. Square root of 3 over 1 is just square root of 3. And then the last one, 1 over 0, would be undefined. So very quickly, I have all 15 special angles and their answers, so that when next I'm asked to find the, let's start just with something easy, the cosine of 30, all I have to do is look up at my chart and go, oh, the cosine of 30 degrees cosine, it's radical 3 over 2. The tangent of 60, no problem. Tangent of 60, square root of 3. Right? That is what you want to be able to do quickly, answer all of these questions. It's kind of like knowing your multiplication facts. The quicker you can come up with these answers, the easier access you have, the easier this class is going to be. If you're in Algebra 1 and didn't know your multiplication facts, if every time I asked you what 3 times 4 was, you were like having to add up, well, 4 3s would be 3 and another 3. So like if you had to do that, you'd be so lost, but because everybody else has moved on to doing something else because they know their multiplication tables. The rest of these, if they're a reciprocal function, you just have to consider, well, what's the sine of 45? The sine of 45 is radical 2 over 2. So the cosecant of 45 will be the reciprocal of that. Right? Let the reciprocal help you. Just flip it. Know which one's the reciprocal, flip it upside down. So the chart will work for the reciprocal functions. It gives you tangent immediately. If it's something bigger than 90 degrees, right, then you're going to find its reference angle. 315 is down here. How close is it to the x-axis at 360? That's 45-degree difference. So the tangent is going to be the same for 315, will be the same as the tangent of 45. Those are reference angles. So my answer is going to be 1. Now I just have to decide, is it positive or negative? That was from section 1.5. All students take calculus. Since it's in quadrant 4 and tangent is negative in quadrant 4, I would say the answer would be -1. So one more time. This is exactly what your non-calculated part's going to look like. Filling out the chart, super powerful. You count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, they're all square rooted, all divisible by 2. 0 divided by 2 is 0, square rooted, divide, yeah, it's just 0. That's 1/2. That's going to be root 2 over 2, root 3 over 2, and root 4 over 2 reduces to 1. Write cosine backwards. Tangent is sine over cosine. And you can rationalize for sure, or you can leave it unrationalized. It's up to you. If I had to rationalize later, I could easily rationalize that. I'm not worried about it right now. But then that chart on any test I do, my calculus students, before they do something, they'll write this down real quick on a top of a test in a corner somewhere. And now if a sine, cosine, or tangent question pops up, they have all the answers at their fingertips without having to think too hard. So that is my recommendation for that. Again, spend time on this review. If you have a chance, it's going to help immensely as you go to take your test. I guess that's it for now. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise,